Okay guys, let's review how to do a still life sketch. I always start with the object closest to me first, in this case the box. I place the bottom panel, then add the top parallel line, looking at that negative space below the box to make sure my angles are correct. Remember, the box gets smaller as it gets further away from you, so be sure to pinch them in. When sketching my other objects, I start with the bottoms first, again looking at that negative space below the objects to make sure they're placed correctly on the page. If an object is symmetrical, it should have a symmetry line. When sketching objects such as bottles or vases or anything more complicated, I like to break it into simpler shapes. Notice how I added that curve to the bottle? That'll help me sketch the neck and make it more accurate. Compare your objects to each other to make sure that everything is in proportion. Be sure to double check the point of view to see if your curves are smiling or frowning. Always sketch lightly so it's easy to refine your objects as you go. Next, I'm going to sketch the egg. Notice how I place the bottom of the egg first on the box, looking at that negative space, seeing where the egg intersects with the box. Next, I'm going to round the egg because it's symmetrical. Now, as I sketch, it's okay to kind of keep going back and refining your objects, making them a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. These are just thumbnails, low stress, easy sketches, just to remind you of those skills from Drawing 1. Before you finish, be sure to add in those cast shadows. Those are the shadows behind and below your objects. This will help your objects sit better in space. The more cast shadows you add now, the easier it'll be when you begin to shade. Let's watch the whole still life process start to finish as I begin my second thumbnail. Again, I start with the bottoms of the objects first, comparing them to each other to make sure all the objects are in correct proportion. When sketching the box, I look for those parallel lines. And when sketching any objects which are symmetrical, I add my symmetry line. I break up my more complicated objects, such as this jug, into two shapes rather than one, I take into account my point of view, including the top of that cork. If I can see either the top or bottom, I include my T. This ensures that the entire object is symmetrical. I notice that the cup laying on its side and the upside down cup are the same size, so I assure to adjust each one accordingly. Be patient and take your time. The last thing you'll need to do is add in your cast shadows. Once you are complete, you'll be ready to move on to your final. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Good luck!